So is this the world's most evil RC truck? Well, it is the CEN Racing 666. So this is based on the CEN Racing F450, and we've done some mods. And where does the 666 come from? Well, it comes from the 6 wheels, the 6-wheel drive, and the 6-wheel steering. So before we get into how it was built, let's get to some running video, and then after that, we'll talk about the body and the mods necessary to make your 450 into an evil F450. So hey guys, I'm James. If you're new to the channel, we do a lot of custom builds. I do custom parts, and I'm really well known for the CEN Racing F450. So we're in the lab tonight, and we'll show you some of the other projects. This is the start of our hopefully 100 plus mile an hour F450, and we've got the CEN F450 666 sitting on the bench. So before we pull the body off and get too technical, I want to give a shout out to RC Patina Guy on Instagram. His name is Eric, and he really inspired this body. So the way this was achieved, and you can kind of see here, is we used aluminum tape. So basically I cut small bits of tape and sort of followed the contours of the body and the larger panels, and I totally wrapped the entire body in aluminum tape. And then you can see some other detail like the texture here and also some of the pinholes. I basically used X-Acto screwdrivers, anything that could sort of mar up or scar up the body. And then I used the side of the X-Acto and I rolled it on the aluminum to get this sort of, it's going to be hard to show on camera, this textured pattern. And then to get this distressed look, I took acrylic paint, I watered it down big time, and then I just sort of haphazardly brushed it all over the body. And then before it dried, I went back with a damp cloth and I sort of wiped away the excess, revealing the aluminum. So it's a pretty cool process. It was a little bit scary, but Eric did it first, and I shot him a message and said, hey man, it looks so cool. I definitely want to give that a shot, but this is none of my creativity. This is all Eric from RC Patina Guy on Instagram. So I did design the grill with the small spikes, and I had a lot of fun here with the headlights. So if you look closely, you'll see them sort of flickering, and what I used were 3mm flickering LEDs, and I printed and designed a housing that would fit where the normal CEN Racing headlights would go. I also did that with the mirrors. So this is the stock mount, and then I printed these sort of cross mirrors and printed this dragon with cross along with the dagger door handles. There were some really cool trucks there. Mine's definitely not as creative as those, but I had fun with it. You can see the wagon wheel wheel covers that I did. So I designed those in Fusion, and then I hand painted them, distressed them a little bit again with some tooling. But I just Google searched, medieval wagon wheel, and I copied and had them fit the wheels that I'm running on this truck. I'm going to turn the lights off for a second, and you can see the red rock lights are pretty cool. So we've got red rock lights recessed up under the flatbed, and also you can really see that front end come alive with the flickering LEDs. I wanted a sort of torch effect. All right, so that's the body work. Check out RC Patina Guy's page if you want to see more examples on how to do this. But it's a pretty simple process, although a little bit time consuming. All right, so we got the cab off, and let's get into the next major feature of this truck, which is the 6-wheel steering. So I'm using a Spectrum DX5, and you can have it programmed to have the wheels turn opposite directions, or you can have it so they turn the same direction. That's how you achieve the crab walking motion. So this is programmed into the DX5. I'm not going to go into great detail on how to do that, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. There's lots of other YouTube videos on how to program your DX5. So that's your 6-wheel steering. Now I did slow down the steering. So even though these are powerful fast servos, I wanted it to look a little bit more scale as I was driving. So I think I had the speed turned down to like maybe only 5 or 8%. So there's our 6-wheel steering. All right, so the meat and potatoes if you want to build one of these. So your first task is you're going to need 3 CEN Racing steering axles. So you'll need to go on eBay or go to CEN Racing themselves and pick these up. So these are identical axles all the way across. Now the tricky part is the dog bone length, and your link lengths are going to be dependent on you building a bracket that can hold all those at the rear of the truck. So how I lengthen the frame is I took a stock CEN Racing frame. I added another rear section, this arch at the rearmost axle, and then it's going to be hard to show here, but I connected it with a small flat section of another stock frame that I cut up. So basically it's stock frame, cut stock frame, and a new rear section. So this is identical to the back of the stock truck. And then this is utilizing one of our billet lift kits. So you can see that here. And what it does is it drops the servos down. So basically that steering drop bracket for the, oh, there's a sticker there. Look at that. So that steering drop bracket is used 3 times. You can see it here, and you can see another one right in there. So it's 3 of the steering drop brackets, 3 steering servos. It's this large 3 or 4 link drop bracket, and then I custom made a bed to those proportions. So kind of see it there. So this is a variation of the work bed that we sell for the regular F450. So the back is identical. You can see the tail lights and bumpers and receiver hitch, and it's just been modified to fit the CEN Racing 6x6 that we built. So let's flip it all the way over. A bunch of dirt just fell out. So we do drive this. Oh, there's more sticks in it. So you can see how the steering's working here. This is your standard front steering axle, and we duplicated that 2 more times. So we're going to go slow here and sort of show the setup. So this is all stock, our standard 40 millimeter billet lift kit. You can see it's taken some hits there, but this is designed to allow for smooth motion when you actually drive off-road. And this is where it gets different. So here's that large drop bracket that puts the links in line with the position of the intermediate axle. And then this cover is the same cover as the standard pinion carrier. We just flipped it around to the other side and put longer bolts through, and that's what's holding this carrier or intermediate drive shaft together. This is a 72 millimeter dog bone, and again, this is another steering axle with the diff flipped, because as it rotates, let's see if we can show that. You'll see that one dog bone rotates in one direction. As it exits, it rotates in the other, and you have to flip that diff over so your tires actually turn in the correct direction. But that's basically it. So it's not too hard. Are there better 6x6s out there? Probably. If you just bought a TRX6, that's going to perform better. But if you wanted something pretty unique, this is pretty cool. Kind of see how I did the steering here. So I've got the steering drag link on the forward part of this intermediate axle, and then we've got it on the rearmost section of the rear axle. And then you can see some pretty tight tolerances there for things like the steering servo and the pan hard bars, which are still in there. There you go. So is that the most evil RC? Well, it's certainly more evil than the stock 450. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if any of you are interested in actually building one of these, I would tell you don't. It's expensive, and a stock TRX6 will outperform it. But if you wanted something unique, this is definitely one way you could go. So that is the CEN Racing 666 F450. And if you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you. Don't forget to leave a comment and a thumbs up, and subscribe if you like our content. I'm going to take you on a little tour of my office / production room, and we'll show off some of the other stuff that we have. So this is our 100-mile-an-hour project. You can see I'm into jets and boats and planes. And I've got a couple of drag cars over there that I never use. And you can see some of the RC collection here on the wall. This was a really fun project, the Hawk Wrecker. And then here's where I do a lot of my printing and prototyping for new parts. And we should see some new parts coming in the next week or two, so stay tuned for that. All right, guys, thanks. Have a good night.